Welcome back, viewers at home. Now joining us virtually to share her story, to raise awareness and seek help for her ongoing treatment. I'm joined by Prenisha Govender, a 29-year-old who has bravely battled or is still battling stage 4 brain and bladder cancer despite the numerous challenges she's faced, and including organ failure, seizures, and aggressive cancer. She remains determined and hopeful. Joining us tonight to give us more information around, how we can play our part in terms of assisting her to raise the necessary funds for her to continue going treatment as needed is Prenisha. Prenisha, good evening and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Hi, Mimuna. Thank you so much for having me.
Always a pleasure. And I think oftenly, when we come across individuals who are, having an ongoing journey with whatever diagnosis that they've been diagnosed with, we tend to not see them. We see them with, with the lens of their diagnosis and their journey. And I think with this, I want to find out from you, how would you best describe Pranishna to us?
Uh, I'd say I'm a very driven, ambitious, and a little bit of a daring person as well. Um, I think sometimes I don't know my own strength, and I sometimes take or think that I am mostly a weak person. But I think my journey and my cancer journey, or my overall life experience, has definitely shown me otherwise.
Mm. Speaking of your cancer journey, how would you describe, some of the challenges that you have, encountered thus far, and how do you go about, managing that?
I think the most challenging, difficult part of this cancer journey, and how I've coped with it, was, I think, losing sense of control, and realizing that no matter how strong or determined or resilient you may be, some things are honestly just out of your hands. There's been times of laughter, of moments of pain, of fear, of uncertainty, um, but I think I've coped by leaning into faith and surrounding myself with supportive people, and focusing on small victories, like a good day, a good laugh, or just reminding myself to keep moving forward.
Mm. And with this experience, Pranishna, I want to find out from you about, being diagnosed. A lot changes in terms of your diet and having to go to the hospital or whatever health institution for your treatment and so much. And I think with that, I want to find out from you, how exactly has this journey changed your perspective on life itself, as well as just your priorities and your dreams?
Um, I think definitely it's made me slow down, and it's made me appreciate life in a much deeper way. Previously, I was always chasing a perfect life, and a better career, and something always better. But now I think I value peace and time with loved ones, and just living with intention. It's shown me that life isn't about how long we have, but about what we do with the time that we're given. And I appreciate life much more.
Hmm. And with that, how would you describe to us a very inspiring moment for you that through this journey you've come to hold dear to yourself?
So when you go for chemo, there's times that so because I have bladder cancer, my situation was a little bit different. I'd be in a closed off room and sometimes receive chemotherapy via catheter, which is obviously a bit more private. But there'd be times where I'd sit in the ward with the other patients, and I remember there was a time where a very old lady who, everybody thinks that their journey is tough and what they're going through is the most difficult, and then you see somebody else walking in who's much older than you, going through something much more difficult than you are. But she was so full of hope, even though her situation was so tough, and she never had much support or encouragement. But that day, I remember sitting with her, and we encouraged each other through our session, and we just bonded. And it just reminded me that even in struggle, we can lift each other up. And small connections make the journey very bearable and beautiful.
Now, Pranishna, I have to say that oftenly when we talk around, very critical diagnosis, and as someone who's not been diagnosed, it's like you find, or looking at individuals like yourself, Pranishna, we are in awe to say, gosh, you still have, the spirit and the ability to see the sunlight. And I think it's something that, I could never understand and I could never best express in that sense. And I think this brings me to ask, how do you remain positive and motivated despite the setbacks that you've, encountered, or just living in the uncertainty in terms of what lies ahead? A doctor can come in today and say, you know what, you're doing great. And the next day, it's like you're experiencing some, challenge, and it's like, okay, where to from here? But how do you importantly stay positive and motivated?
I think firstly, I allow myself to feel everything. First, I don't pretend that everything is easy, and I don't force positivity. Um, After feeling what I allow myself to feel, I remind myself of the why, of my why, which is the people that I love and the goals that I still want to achieve. And there's still a message that I want to share with other cancer warriors. And I feel that I also just try to find joy in each day, even if it's small, in music, in nature, in prayer. It's the small lights that keeps you going. And listen, well, we all have our difficult days, and most moments are tougher than most. But um, yeah, you allow yourself to feel, and you dust yourself off, and you just have to keep going.
And in my next question, please excuse the, ignorance in it. And I think I want to find out, how did you come up with the idea of the breakfast fun, or rather run fundraiser?
So I grew up in a community who loved cars. I grew up with a brother who had loved drag racing, and I just grew up with a passion of cars as well. So the breakfast run actually from car, but also from wanting to bring people together in a fun and energetic way, while also raising awareness about cancer, and to also help me raise funds for my cancer treatment. But I also want it to be something that's just full of life and not sadness. A reminder that even in hardship, people can come together, we can do good, and we can celebrate.
And with that, can you tell us more around the fundraiser itself, and in terms of when is it going to be taking place? I know from the flyer we saw it's taking place on the 2nd of November, which is a Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. And where will it be, as well as the costing?
So yes, the run is taking place this Sunday on the 2nd of November. We will be meeting at Detail Ease in Lynbrough Park. Um, we'll do a little meet and greet there and collect all the entry fees. Entry fee is 100 Rand, which includes a raffle entry. Um, so once we leave Detail Ease, it will be a convoy, a driving convoy to the comic warehouse, where we'll all just have a breakfast and have some vibes and chill together. We'll have the raffle draw, and yeah, that's hopefully to raise some awareness and some funds for the treatment.
Certainly. And in the efforts of raising more funds for those who would like to assist in many other ways beyond, being part of the event, but maybe because of other commitments, they would like to, contribute and be part of this beautiful cause, how can they best, show support for you?
Definitely. So I have a Back a Body campaign that's currently running as well. All of the details are on my Facebook page. I'll send you guys a link as well in the comments. And yeah, if you click on the Back a Body campaign, people are easily able to donate through there. I think also just by sharing my story and spreading awareness, it also really helps. I think every small act makes a difference, because support doesn't always have to be financial, even just emotional encouragement.
And Pranishna, you mentioned something around raising awareness, because even in our current you know, lives, we find people who still have these stigmas and just misunderstanding around cancer and what it means and the idea of support and so much around it. And I think I'll allow this opportunity to ask you to say, when we talk about raising awareness around cancer, what does that ideally look like, and what would you like for viewers at home to just bear in mind whenever we come across just these conversations around cancer?
I think one main stigma around people having cancer is that we are so fragile and that anything can break us. But I think one of the things that people need to remember is that we are one of the strongest people through all of the treatment, through all of the bad news, through everything we go through. We just have to keep pushing forward. We don't have a choice. It's not like today you wake up and you're like, hey, I don't feel like having cancer today anymore. So I'm just not going to go for the treatment. So I think in terms of raising awareness, I'd like people to know how strong cancer people are. I'd like them to know that it can happen to anyone, regardless of your age, regardless of your color, of your race. It really doesn't matter. Cancer can go beyond genetics. It's something that needs to be, um, uh, uh, we need to raise awareness for so that people know to go and get their regular checkups and tests done, and to just follow the correct protocol to make sure that this doesn't happen to them.
Certainly. And with that, what closing message you would like to share with our viewers at home regarding, our conversation tonight in terms of knowing Prenisha and your cancer journey, and most importantly, your event in terms of the Breakfast Run fundraise?
I think my message would be you're definitely stronger than you think you are. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to cry. It's okay to fall apart sometimes, but just don't stay there. Find hope in the smallest moments and hold on to God's word. Healing isn't just physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual, and you are never ever alone. There's always someone who understands, there's always someone who cares, and there's always a God.
Certainly. Pranisha, thank you so much, for coming in and being vulnerable with us and really sharing with us your journey. And we certainly hope and pray that, the fundraiser is nothing short of a success, and it brings about the necessary awareness around, cancer itself, and brings about understanding to the larger society in terms of, let us stop looking at cancer warriors, as you mentioned, as frail and weak, but rather individuals that are quite, I have to say, strong, because yours, yeah, you individuals are teaching us a lot in terms of how we should view life, in the sense that, as you mentioned, being diagnosed with cancer shouldn't take away from, you continuing to live, you continuing to being hopeful, and you continuing to just dream in that sense. But thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for having me. And we hope to see everyone at the breakfast run on Sunday.
Certainly. Viewers at home, that was my guest, Prenisha Govender, who's a 29-year-old who is bravely battling stage 4 brain and bladder cancer. Now, certainly, as she has shared, that there is a breakfast run fundraiser that's taking place on the 2nd of November, with the entry fee being 100 rands, and it's going to be taking place from 8 a.m. and with the departure being between 9:30 and 10 a.m. And certainly, if you're an individual who would like to, be part of the event beyond the day itself in terms of assisting her to raise necessary funds for her treatment, certainly you can make use of the banking details that was shared, but it's an FNB account with the account number 62514117953, which is on the screen. And please use the reference help Prenisha. Now, this is something that was, I hope it was inspiring for you, because certainly for me, it has been quite inspiring and informative at that. And yeah, may the Almighty continue to bless Pranisha and her family through this time. But for now, let's head over to an ad break. We'll see you just after this.